Good morning or afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the Awesemo.com YouTube channel. I am Jason Roslin and going to be your host for this short video. And here I'm going to be doing my PGA model breakdown. And if you've ever seen it before, I have done it a couple of times in the past, but now with things shifted around for me here, I'm able to produce it each and every week. So it should be out Tuesday night or Wednesday morning, depending on when the field is finalized and all of that. So anyways, what you should be able to find this is how I build my model, how I use my model to make my lineups, and how you can build your own model through my Excel document that I have. And of course, if you become a premium member, you'll have access to all that, the ability to download all of this information, which it's a ton of information, I'm going to be honest. And I keep adding things to it to either A, make it easier for you to find the information, or B, segment out the information so that it's just a bit easier to find. So, without further ado, let's head into this week's model, breaking down the RBC Canadian Open. And again, I'm just going to go through what my model has each week, and then, of course, who it's rating the best, and so on and so forth. So, without further ado, let's head in and take a look. Excuse me, they're just getting a quick sip of water before we go into this. So, as you can see, this is the main page here. As you can see down here in the bar here, this is the full model. So this has all of the information you see below you here. It's got the ownership, it's got ratings, it's got make your own model, it's got the strokes gained yearly, it's got other statistical measures, it's got the tee to green 4, 7 week, yearly, so on and so forth. And then it's got approach numbers, and it's got recent form, course history, DraftKings points, so on and so forth. Excuse me, sorry about that. So it's got a plethora of information. So let's go ahead and just start on this first page so I can kind of explain it here. So the official World Golf Ranking, pretty self-explanatory here. Model rank is what my model is ranking them this week. Again, each of the ratings, the rating and projected point in the make your own model, that's what MYOM stands for. They accumulate the points based on a variety of different factors. So we'll go ahead into my algorithm points. I call it an algorithm. You guys can call it whatever you'd like. It doesn't really phase me what it's called. So anyways, as you can see here, these are all of the contributing factors that go into making up my model each week. And here is over here the percentages of each weighting that they will have in my specific model. So for example, odds is 24%, the yearly strokes gained is 40%, the other stats is 7%, the weekly strokes gained is 34%, so on and so forth. So that's the weighted average. The weighted average is this one up top. That one is the non-weighted average, I apologize. So we're gonna just move that back to general there. So this is up top, this is our weighted average up top, what each segment of things is allocating. Let's say you don't like that. You can click the next box here, the Make Your Own Model box, MYM. And what's done here in red is the number that you would like to change, the percentage you would like to change. So let's say that you want to just have all of the odds. You don't really care about much else. Let's put my numlock on there. Okay, so we're going to change that to 70. We're going to change that to 5. We're going to change the yearly strokes gain because we're not really a stat person. We're going to change that to 5. The 6-week stroke gain, again, we're not really a stat person. We're going to change that to 5. We like official World Golf Ranking. That's a good ranking. And yeah, it's okay. Recent form is 5%, sure, and DraftKings is 10%. So I always aim for maybe a little over the 100%. Maybe I'll bring DraftKings points down to 5% so we can get down to 110% of the model. So the reason why you go over 100% of the percentages is because of the course that they're playing at this week. Sorry, I had to get that out. It was a little confusing. And what I mean by that, it's going to change each week. So for example, this week, this course is supposed to be relatively easy. So if we went right at 100, so let's say we took out recent form and we took out the DraftKings points, brought them both down to 0, we're going to see the top guys in the Make Your Model get roughly 120 points, and while that's probably right on, the Make Your Own Model, because it's basing off of another model, I always have it have a little bit extra percentage. Again, you can change this anything you want. That's the beauty of this little box right here. You can change it anything you want. Let's say you think that Vegas is totally wrong all the time. You can change that to 5, And then you can go to, let's say, 6-week stroke gain. We just want to find the guy that has the best weighted odds and those in the rolling strokes gained averages. So we're going to move this up to 65. And you're going to see, we're going to go back to our full model. You're going to see the make your own model rank is totally different. You're going to see Justin Thomas, who hasn't played in 7 weeks or hasn't played good, at least in the strokes gain category, get a significant decrease. And you're going to get guys that are playing good. So, for example, this is how we find out who's playing good right now. You go to the difference, and you see Tyler Duncan, who played great in his last start, come up. Brady Schnell, Russell Henley, who played great in his last start. Last couple of starts, Sepp Straka, DJ Trahan. So you see how it can certainly change the weightings. It can change the way it looks. So that's just something I like to give because everybody likes to do their own thing. I change mine on a weekly basis. I would say I'm going to put these back to 50 and to 10 and to 10. That was what it was on before. So we're going to just put it all back there. And the beautiful thing, like I said, is you can make your own model one for it. So this week, looks like my model is giving Brooks Koepka the nod just a bit over Rory McIlroy. And then comes the next guys. The reason why it looks like Dustin Johnson is not getting quite enough points, we're going to go. And this is the other great part, is you can come into the algorithm points sheet. And you can now go look at all of the things that I talked about and go say, all right, well, we want to list by top to bottom here. So that's easy. Go to line K and be able to do that. So we're sorting by. And we see Dustin Johnson, it looks like, he's pretty good. But it looks like his approach yardages from inside of 100 yards or 125 yards is not great this year. So that's what we can go do. That's the beautiful thing about the way I've done my model this year is I've broken out every category that makes up the points into its own sheet. So now I come over here to approach proximity and I see this week, very important, under 125 yards and in this week because of how short the course is. And we see DJ is actually struggling a little bit with his wedges this year. Maybe why he hasn't won the major and come in second and had that. But that looks like, as you can see, there's an 8-point differential between DJ and Brooks Koepka in this specific category, which is probably the tiebreaker between, how Brooks Koepka gets 5 more rating points than DJ does for me in my model here. So that's a really great indication of what you can find. Also, one of the things that I have added this year, which I find so useful, is the strokes form generator. So Mackenzie Hughes is up here. And what this is going to show, it's going to show his 4 weeks, his 7 weeks, his 2019 and his 2018 averages. And then it's going to put them all up against each other. So you can really see when the player's in form, when the player's not in form. Obviously, this 3-week, it's actually a 4-week. I moved it out to basically a month. But it's still, the labeling here still says 3-week. In any case, it's really like the last 1 or 2 starts. This one is most important. And of course, the 7-week versus the 2019 averages is also important to look at. It's a great tool to see where the specific golfer that you're researching is versus his baseline and how he's playing weekly. So that's for every golfer in the field. Also, want to, of course, talk about the ownership projection model. So this is a great one where people can come in and do whatever they want. They can project their own ownership, and that's really cool. Now, I don't know any company doing that at this point. So what I've done is I have put in the last, since the Waste Management, it looks like here, I could add in Farmers, Desert, and Sony, but I just haven't done the VLOOKUPs for it yet. Because it changes each week, obviously, that I put a new tournament in. But here's all the ownerships from the Waste Management from the entire year. It should give you plenty of information. And then also I put the 2019 average, last 5, so on and so forth. This is what I use to project out my ownership. And then, of course, when the Awesemo guys come out with theirs, which you're actually going to see that another video of mine coming up soon, the Roslyn's Chalk Report, which will focus on ownership. What I do is I average in the guys' ownership with mine when they release theirs. So another just really useful tool to have when you are looking at making your model. So hopefully this has been a really good insight as to what I'm using. It looks like this week, as I mentioned, Koepka is up at the top, which is not a surprise. But here's where I like to do. Now I'm going to transition a little bit into how I build my lineups versus these ratings. So If you guys are not a member yet, I put out a winning element article on Wednesdays, which today is, in the afternoon, and it details my entire player pool and the allocations that I look to get each of the players. So after I do that, though, of course, I'm an MME guy, so I play 150 lineups and a lot of the contests, at least that allow it. And so I'm certainly not going to build all of mine by hand. So what I do is, of course, I copy lines A and lines M. If you do make your own model, you can copy line M. And, of course, I just copy it, I put it onto a new sheet, and I transfer it over to Fantasy Crunchers. And what's nice about that is, let's just say I go and Corey Connors, for example, is 7,500 this week. He's a good value according to my model. Let's say he's not in my core players. Well, the nice thing about using my model and projected points is that Corey Connors is still going to get in whatever percentage of lineups I tell him to get in, because my model has him rated quite high. So what it allows me to do is, if I miss any of these value play guys in my core or in my alternate, in my winning element article, this is going to make up for that. It's going to give me the chance to still have the ability to have that player at some type of allocation. I set a standard 10% allocation for the entire field when I'm making my lineups on Fantasy Crunchers. So, for example, Corey Connors this week, let's just say I missed him or I didn't like him that much this week, but my model does. What's going to happen is he's going to get in 10% if that's my base. And how that helps me, of course, is if I missed him or my analysis did not lead me to him, he then gets in my lineup. So a perfect example of that is Kevin Na a couple of weeks ago. He wasn't really in my pool, but he rated out well. He had good course history. He was coming in good form, and he was able to get in about 14% of the lineups that I had, and obviously one of them ended up coming in second place in a big contest. So that's how I use it. So it looks like Corey Connors, again, best value. So another last tool that I'm going to show you about this week, which is another way that I really go and try and find my value plays, is I break it out by price section. This week, it's not quite 10K and 9K just because we have such chalky guys up at the top. But where I come into this 7K range, and what I do is, and this is, I was just taking some pictures here yesterday, so half the field is hiding here, so I'm just going to unhide them really quick. And the nice thing about each of these sheets is when you go to the model rank and you press the button that I just did, it's going to actually give you the model rank of that price range. So you can come and see, like I said, Corey Connors obviously ranked number 1. Kevin Tway, Aaron Wise, both right there as well. Nick Watney playing well. Joaquin Neiman playing well in this format. So as you can see, it's a great way to really hone in on specific price categories, especially after you put your first and second guy in the lineup. This week, it's likely going to be 2 guys above this range. So it's a great way to come in and really segment out the guys that you're looking to pair up either against each other or with each other and deciding who you're going to put in the lineup. So hopefully this is a great way. Of course, I do this with 6K. I do this each and every week. So it looks like in the 6K section, and again, I'm part of the video, I'll of course go into these sections a little bit here. Looks like Nate Lashley is rating out one of the best, but interestingly enough, Cameron Davis ranks both first in the make your own model and in the regular model, likely due to the fact that he's one of the lowest official World Golf ranking in this, but also has to probably do with the odds a little bit, as well as his statistical numbers have looked okay. But as you can tell, his recent form, that's a great thing when we scroll all the way over to it. You can see that he came 35th in miscut. Now, these secondary sheets likely won't have the right, as you can see here, the right recent form. I don't copy over the headings, so I apologize there. Don't pay any attention to that. Of course, in the full model, which I update every week, that shows, as you can see, Memorial, Charles Schwab, PGA, so on and so forth. So, also, I think I mentioned the DraftKings points is also part of the full model. I put that in there, and I also have this as well in a sub sheet for you to go out and find. If you see any highlighting ever, I get a question about this a lot. Normally I'll put it up there. If it means anything, I'll put it right up here. If it doesn't, if you see it and I don't have it labeled, it probably doesn't mean anything. It might have just been from a prior tournament that I didn't clear out the conditional formatting on or something like that. Just silliness by me. But this week, again, this one is anybody that is labeled in blue qualified for the U.S. Open on Monday in that intense 36-hole qualifying. Just thought it might be useful information. Maybe people that might withdraw or might be more inclined to, or so on and so forth. So hopefully this has given a good insight this week. I'll do this each and every week where I'll go kind of high level over my model. And actually, before I jump out, the last thing that I want to do that I also use is the strokes gained by field rank. So obviously the one you saw in the beginning is just their overall rank for the year. But in this section, the strokes gained ranks by field, I've broken it out so that you can sort by players in the field. So you can go in and see that Corey Connors is ranked 8th in this field in tee to green, whereas on the year, I think he's ranked 16th. So you can see that, whereas, Sung J M 35th, he's ranked 14th in the field. It's just a good indication and might be able to see players that are a little bit undervalued in a field like this, like a Hank Lebioda and Adam Svensson, who are in the top 30 in tee to green in this field, but not quite that good over the year. So just another way to look at the information and disseminate it, of course. So any questions or comments that you would like to ask me about this article, please feel free to reach out to me on any of the platforms. My Twitter's right there at DFSGolfer23. You can also send a message, of course, comment right below here, send a message to support@Awesemo, or go find one of my articles and leave a comment there below. So hopefully, again, this has helped you glean some information about what we offer here and a little about my model breakdown for this week. As I get more into this and it becomes more of a regular thing, I will go more into the breaking down rather than just a high level of what I provide. But for these first ones, got to cover, of course, what I provide. So hope you all enjoyed it. You will see me back here in just a couple of minutes if you're interested in watching a few more videos. There'll be another one coming out called the Chalk Report that is going to highlight just a couple of high-owned and low-owned players for the week. And you can find that right here on the Awesemo.com YouTube channel. Of course, if you're looking for another video and haven't checked out my Roslyn's 3-ball video, go ahead and do that, where I give you a high-level overview of the golf course and 3 players that are playing in the tournament this week. Of course, if you're not an already Awesemo Plus and .com subscriber, go ahead and use promo code 3ball to get a little bit off your subscription and show that you found it through me and through here. So thanks, everybody, for joining today. Hope you liked it, and we'll be back again next week. Cheers.